head over to
Mine's been going
time.
for like 8 minutes, so
Oh,
FYI.
Jesus. So you mean
Should I
it'll be
like
desynced
restart
already?
it?
May as well.
Wait, what the? Who
Okay.
said hello?
May
was
as well.
weird.
Oh, what?
No, I heard like an echoey hello, like super quiet. That was weird. Not echoey, but it was like quiet. It was like a little hello, very quiet. I don't know. I thought it was like, oh, did Pat join? But his mic is just quiet. But no, there's nobody here.
It's
It's a ghost.
spooky.
Okay. So, okay, I'm restarting Audacity now. There we go.
Okay. All right, sick.
Oh, okay. We'll go at on the minute.
Sure.
Okay.
Yay. All right.
Okay.
Okay, I don't think that like my clap the last time actually made sound.
I
That's
didn't
fine.
hear you.
It's fine.
Unless we clapped
It'll-
at the same time.
Even if it's a tiny blip, it'll show up on the recording. That's all it needs.
It definitely does not show up on there.
Okay. Well, we can do a second one if you want.
Okay.
Do you want to try again, Allison?
Sure.
Sure.
At
Okay.
40.
What? 40.
Yeah.
I go like as soon as it changes.
Yeah.
I go shortly
Oh.
thereafter.
Oh, yeah. See, we gotta.
It's fine.
We're approximately in the same spot. Okay. We all ready?
Born ready. Just getting my timestamp ready.
Okay. What episode is this? 97?
97.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to episode 97 of Gaming Fyx on this November 23rd, 2019. I am your host, Andre Cole, aka your girl's favorite Star Wars droid. I am joined today by Alex Galinas
Hi.
and Allison Saigan.
Okay, as a Star Wars droid fan, I don't know if I can agree. I'm sorry.
Your girl's
Wow.
favorite Star Wars droid. Not yours. Your girl's.
Right, that's true. I know. I've just said I just like Star Wars droids, and I'm like, could it really be your favorite? But anyway.
This hurts. I consider this a deep personal attack. I thought we were friends.
I'm sorry.
That IGN article was mostly okay about the top 10 droids in video games.
It was mostly okay, but HK-47 was like the notable absence.
Yeah, they probably could have replaced the make your own droid game with him.
Yeah. I just thought that was weird because like even now like people still talk about HK-47.
Yeah, totally. But
all the
gonk.
time. So
But gonk, yo.
I mean, like, okay, that is a solid choice. Like Gonk Droid, like at the top of any list, is a very solid choice.
Yeah. Spoilers, but yeah, gonk.
Gonk.
How are you, Andre?
It's late. I've been playing some games. I finished some games.
How's Japanese class?
It was, I was real nervous. That social anxiety was firing off, it's like, oh God, you're going to go interact with people you don't know. And then I got there and I was like, okay, I'm going into like the hard class. And then they're like, okay, which class do you think you should be in? I'm like, wait, what? Oh, I guess I think this class, the not super hard one, but like the harder than last time. I went into that class, then I'm like sitting with the teacher talking. She's like, yeah, there should be 2 more people. And then like 5 minutes past, she's like, I don't think they're coming. Okay, let's start. So some good one-on-one conversation and, lesson planning or lesson learning. Yeah,
That sounds all right.
It was good. I've got like 4 more classes before there's a break, and then we come back in like January after that. So yeah,
Sounds wonderful.
yeah, we'll hopefully it actually helps me improve my Japanese. I think it will. That's kind of what classes are supposed to do.
If it makes it worse, that's very problematic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cancel Japanese class. Like people tried to cancel this Pokemon this week on Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna a little bit of news, a little bit of gossip, a little bit of Twitter drama with the Pokemon. There's a Pokemon like Heatran, or I don't even know the name. It's new in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I think Heatran is actually like a legendary. But this name is I don't even know. It's got a similar name to that, and it's Pokedex. Little blurb says like, don't bring strong emotions around this Pokemon or it will knock you the fuck out. Don't be super happy, don't be angry, don't be depressed, don't have strong emotions around this Pokemon. And someone tweets out like, that's why I will never roll with this Pokemon, it is abusive. And it's like,
oh my god, I didn't see that.
I did not see that.
Oh yeah, no, this was a very good, like, are you trying to cancel a Pokemon right now?
Like the actual Pokemon?
Yeah. Not just like cancel the game.
Company.
No, just cancel this specific Pokemon because of its entry in the Sword and Shield Pokedex. And everyone's just like, are you serious right now? So the drama around Pokemon Sword and Shield has not stopped.
It'll never stop.
It has moved on. It has evolved. Much like the Pokemon. The drama is evolving. It's some stupid new shit.
At least it's not Dynamax.
No, not yet. It will. I found out. So like some of the Pokemon, we'll talk about Pokemon right now, I guess. We're already in it. So Pokemon Sword Shield last week, Allison and Pat went deep on their
we did
first hours. We talked for like an hour about that game and they hadn't even gotten to the first gym.
Yup. I've gotten to 5. I've just beat the 5th gym this week, so I'm assuming we're going to talk for 5 hours about Pokemon.
Oh yeah,
I think it's exponential. I think we're actually going to be like 25 hours or something. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah. Stands to reason. Yeah.
I don't know if that's exponential. It's don't correct us.
Don't add us. We can't do math.
But anyway, so I'm at the last gym now, or about to be at the last gym. And I'm playing Sword, which I believe is the same as you, Allison.
Yep, I'm on Sword.
Okay. I forgot what we were talking about already. I had a point. The drama. This guy.
Gyms talking about for 5 hours. Exponential.
We'll just keep rolling it back, and eventually we'll get there. Play it back.
Grookey is the starter to choose.
Yes, Grookey is. Grookey, he's a cute little monkey, and then he evolves into like a Taiko no Tatsujin master, and he just plays like all the greatest J-pop and K-pop hits on his taiko drum, which he uses to manipulate the roots of a tree to kill his enemies. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of Grookey, but also my party consists of basically all Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon and Grookey, or my evolved Grookey now, my Rillaboom. And just because like I'm sticking with what I know for some reason. I don't know. I like all the Pokemon I got.
Change is scary.
Yeah. A little bit, but it's mostly just like I haven't seen any Pokemon where I'm like, oh yeah, I want this in my party.
Oh, see, that's like me with all the new Pokemon. I feel like I like all the designs a lot, so I'm like, oh, I gotta have you on my squad. I've never seen you before.
I feel like a lot of them are just like this. They don't seem as well designed, like in the game. Like like artistically, they're probably fine, but like the models and stuff, they're just like, you seem a little. Like Pat kind of brought it up too, like the quality on some of them are like, you're just like a circle with some smaller circles on your face to like make your eyes and like nose, and that's about it. Like all just flat textures on a circle or like on a sphere. And I feel like some of the like a lot of the early, like the older Pokemon, they look much better, at least in my opinion, like their models and stuff. I don't know. Like if you compare like Growlithe to what's the Yamper, Like they're both little dogs.
But Yamper's really good.
Yamper's cute, but if you compare like their designs, I feel like they're 3D models. I feel like there is so much more detail in the Growlithe model than the Yamper model, and it's just, I don't know, it's weird to me. There's something seems off. Maybe that's a bad comparison. It doesn't like impact the game in any meaningful way, other than I look at these, I'm like, it just doesn't seem right. They seem like they're from different games, but
there is also something kind of cozy about playing with Gen 1 or Gen 2 Pokemon.
Yes, but it has brought me back to remembering what I wanted to complain about. So Dynamaxing. You can Dynamax your Pokemon. That's where they get all big, right? And Gigantamaxing, or so Dynamaxing is where they just get big. Gigantamaxing is where they do like the special stuff, right?
That's where they like
some
change
Pokemon
form.
Will change form.
Yeah.
I had like this Gengar, and I was all excited because Gengar can Gigantamax, which is where he becomes like a giant like mouth, basically. Like it's like basically the top of his body is giant, and he's like 95% mouth. And I was like, I got this battle, and this gym leader just sent out a Pokemon that turned into a giant cake. So I'm going to send out my Gengar, who's going to be a giant mouth, and I'm going to win this fight because mouth beats cake, right? You know.
I mean, yeah.
But that's
science. My
Gengar didn't Gigantamax; it just got big.
Yeah, only specific Pokemon can Gigantamax.
But it's not like not every Pokemon can Gigantamax, but then even then, not every Pokemon of that like variety, you have to get specific Pokemon like from the max grade battles. I think that's where I got my Ghastly that evolved into this Gengar, but that wasn't like enough. It had to be like the super special ones or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to catch like specifically Gigantamax. Like right now they're doing the raids for the Gigantamax Butterfree and the like Meowth you get over thing that can Gigantamax, and if you can get the Pikachu or Eevee from the Let's Go people. But it only allows specific Pokemon. But that would have been so cool though if you were able to do the giant mouth plus cake.
And I was really mad about it. It disappointed me. But besides that, I've been enjoying the game very much. I think like the first like 3 or 4 gyms are trivial. Like I beat them with 1 Pokemon each, basically, like using 1 move against every Pokemon, just because they give you so much variety early on. And I think that's what makes it so easy, is like you go back to like the early games in the series, like, maybe the first like 3 generations, because that's what I have the most experience with. You like leave your hometown, you encounter maybe 5 different Pokemon before you get to the first gym. And unless you choose, like in Red and Blue, unless you choose Squirtle, or I guess Bulbasaur is good against Brock.
Yeah.
Right? Against Rock.
Yeah.
Like, you choose those 2, but everything else is terrible against that first gym.
Right. So if you choose Charmander, you're basically fucked.
Yeah, it's like a super difficult. And that's Pokemon, and that's introducing you to the mechanics and whatnot. And like I think that's been pretty standard in the games up until this point, where this game, they're just like, here's a Pokemon of like every type that you could possibly imagine in like the first like 30 minutes almost.
Yeah.
But not every type, but there's a huge variety to meet.
Well, especially since you go into the wild area first, like before you hit the gym.
Yeah, so, and then you can just like all bets are off once you get to the wild area.
Right, but even before that, like I know that I was catching a bunch in the first routes.
Yeah.
And then before the gym, I had so much Pokemon before the first gym that I felt like I had a wide variety. Like I think I'd caught a fire type by that point, and it's a grass gym.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, like, the last time I've gotten a fire Pokemon that early.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they're always like held till later in the game, weirdly, unless it's like a starter. But
which I never choose because I always choose grass starter. But
and your rival, your friend Hop, is a moron, and he lets you choose a Pokemon first. He's very nice, very considerate, and you're like, oh, I'm going to choose Grookey. And what does he do? He chooses Sobble, the Pokemon that is weak to yours, and then has the audacity to challenge you to a Pokemon battle.
And then he's also like, whoa, you no type matchups like every single time. And you're like, yeah, of course I do. I've played Pokemon before.
Yeah, he's like, type matchups? Yeah, your brother's the Pokemon champion, don't you? Why are you sending out? Why are you picking Sobble against me? And then his brother takes Score Bunny, at least if you take
Score Bunny does have a home. They don't just throw it out into the streets and go.
And Score Bunny just turns into a person. That's like the Score Bunny evolution. It's just like it's a person, and I don't like that.
I just got one. I just got a Score Bunny from trading with Sam, which is my big complaint about Pokemon, is that the trading sucks.
Yeah, no, trading with Sam sucks. No, the trading system so they have implemented is awful.
Like it's so disappointing because I mean, since it's Pokemon, a big part of what they want you to do is trade. And I mean, that's
they've done this well before.
Right. I mean, I didn't even have any issues with when we were doing trading to get my complete Pokedex for Let's Go Pikachu, Alex, like it was not like, I mean, it still had the dumb kind of like, you got to choose your code to enter, but it wasn't hard. Like it wasn't difficult to trade. Whereas Sam and I spent like 15 minutes trying to trade 2 Pokemon.
Yeah.
We're like, we just want to trade our evolution, our starters and our, and like I traded Farfetch'd for Ponyta, and it took so fucking long to trade. And
so yeah, you can't use, as far as I can tell, you can't use friend codes to like match up with a person.
Because also like why else? Which is dumb because Nintendo still is doing the friend code thing. So like you have to go through hoops to enter someone as a friend. You enter them as a friend, and then you can't even trade with that.
Yeah, you can't choose. You can't easily choose who you're going to trade with. You just kind of go, hey, I want to trade. And then it just will match you up with a random person. And then you say, oh, I'll trade this Pokemon. And it'll be like, hey, they're going to send you this Pokemon. Do you want to do it? But you have to like pick it. You don't get to see what they're choosing as you're selecting. You have to wait until you select your Pokemon. And then you both go, do I want to? No. Okay. And why is this a system? In previous games, like in the 3DS games, they had like the trade tower where you just go and you'd be like, hey, I want to trade a Grookey for your Sobble. And like, if you're breeding or whatever. And then you just leave and your Grookey's there waiting to be traded. And then you'll get a notification like, oh, hey, someone took you up on your trade. And then you go and you pick up your Sobble. End of story. But here, you just like randomly match up with people and then pretend to match or try to trade. But
you can also enter a 4-digit number as a code to join with somebody, which works okay. But
until like someone else is also using that same code,
right? And then also just the online trading itself, like Sam and I kept disconnecting and kept trying to connect, and we're both like, it's okay. It's happening to both of us. So it's not like our internet seems to be fine. It's just.
You both have Rokus.
Yep.
Working for.
God, the Roku thing is so funny.
Oh my God. Pokemon legit crashed both my Roku and my parents' Roku.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Because I went over to my parents' house and I was playing Pokemon. And like suddenly the Roku crashed, and I was like, "Wow, it's weird that happened to me and then to them." And now I'm like, "Oh no, it was Pokemon."
Like Pokemon does a very, very directed DDoS, a directed, directed DDoS.
Yeah. Right.
So like even for me and my girlfriend playing right next to each other and on a local connection, going, "Okay, we want to trade." Like, okay, how do we? Okay, so we just say trade, and then we're both like just waiting for it to trade, and we're just waiting. We're like, it's been like 3 minutes. Why aren't we trading? We're 2 feet from each other. What is going on here? And then like, okay, let's try putting in a code. And then we put in the code and then we can finally connect to each other. But it's just a bad system that doesn't make any sense why it's made the way it is. Because they've done it better in the past and they just opted to not do it that way.
Yeah, for some reason. Weird. I don't know why, but
like they implemented the mystery trading thing or whatever it was.
Yeah, surprise trade.
Yeah, surprise trade where you just pick a random Pokemon to trade and then you get a random Pokemon in return, and that's like a neat idea. Allison got you got a Japanese Ditto, right?
I did. So fun fact: if you trade with Japanese users, they are like during hours that Japanese people are awake. They are a lot nicer than American traders, because I also got a Japanese Grookey from a surprise trade the other day. And I was like, oh, okay. And
I already have one of these. I don't want it. I threw it on the ground.
Why was this a stobble? But yeah, so I got a Japanese Ditto, which was like, so one of the things that you can do to get shiny Pokemon is what's known as the Masuda method, which basically, if you breed two Pokemon and one's from a different language and different like country of origin, it's much more likely to be a shiny than if you breed two Pokemon of the same. So because of that, Japanese Ditto for like American players are very, very valuable.
Well, then you're just swimming in some pink goo and shiny goo.
Yeah, I have yet to get a shiny, but I also haven't really been trying that hard. So,
I believe in you. You'll get one. You'll get one someday.
So, what do you guys think if this was some kid's very first Pokemon that it's pretty good? Like, is it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, would you say it's better than any previous ones, or is it just like, no, it's solid?
Nostalgia. I mean, I have been very vocal about my feelings about Heart Gold and Soul Silver being the pinnacle of the series.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver are very, very good, and it's probably my favorite too. But that's also partially nostalgia because like Gold was historically my favorite, and then Heart Gold and Soul Silver was like
just better versions of that.
Yeah.
And so something occurred to me while I was playing Sword and Shield, or while I was playing Sword. So one of my biggest frustrations with the Pokemon games since Heart Gold and Soul Silver is they refuse to bring back the mechanic where your lead Pokemon will follow behind you.
Yep.
And just like walk around the world with you. And like I love that so much, and it's like a useless mechanic, but it felt so important, especially after being a fan of the anime as a child. Like,
right.
Ash always has his Pikachu with him, so I'm like, oh, I'm like Ash, I got my Pokemon with me. And like that's a pain in the ass to like animate or whatever on like a 3DS or whatever with 800 Pokemon or whatever. But now with Sword and Shield, they have 3D models of all the Pokemon. They're already running around the overworld.
They're also already running around in the camp.
In the towns, in the camps. Yeah, they've got 3D models of all these Pokemon, but I can't have one follow me around.
Yeah.
Like Onix is big, I get it, but also
come on.
Yeah. And so I'm still mad about this. I will never let it go. This is my exit. I will die on this hill.
I think it is kind of silly that they don't do it because it is such a fun feature. And I just remember when I got Heart Gold, it's the type of thing where it's like it's like a small cosmetic feature that just makes everybody happy.
Yeah.
So why not keep doing it?
And you can turn around, you'd be like, oh, hey, coochie coochie coo, and like scratch your Gyarados on the gills or whatever.
But coming back to your question, Alex, I think that a lot of the complaints about the game, specifically our complaints and like the larger Pokemon complaints, are really kind of like smaller details. Like they definitely matter, but like if you're just wanting to pick up a Pokemon game for a fun Pokemon game, Sword and Shield is that.
Yeah.
As if it's better than the other ones, I don't No, but I'd say it's quite a good one. Largely, except for some of the complaints that are, in the grand scheme of things, not the biggest of deals.
Yeah, because like before the game came out,
don't come after me, Pokemon fans.
Yeah. Like before the game came out, there was that whole hashtag Game Freak lied thing that was going on, and like it like people were really freaking out and like saying, "Oh, this is going to be such a disaster." But it seems like once people got it in their hands, like it's fine, it's good.
Even the people who were, saying that, I didn't follow up on the story, but like people going like, "Well, I wasn't gonna buy it, but I got it as a gift, and it's actually pretty good."
I mean, I think some people still did boycott it, but the sales for it have been amazing, so it's not really going to make any difference. And I feel like if it makes that big of a difference, that like the whole Dexit thing, then you shouldn't buy it if that's the case. But I think it's still largely a good Pokemon game, and the people who are actually impacted by something like Dexit are very, very small.
Yeah, and like before the game came out, people were like, "Look at these tree textures; they're not nearly as good as the 3DS one," and stuff. And it was just like they were nitpicking the smallest details, and it was so toxic.
They're looking for reasons to be mad. And
exactly.
We told you so. Yeah,
it's like they're looking at very specific things like tree textures when like the art design for the game is largely really nice. There are a lot of tones that look just really beautiful. It's like, or you also see it where it's like, oh, look at the tree in Breath of the Wild, and it's like that's a totally separate game with a separate team. Like, it's not a fair comparison.
How has the Englandness translated? Like, is it coming across real much?
People say weird things.
They do. I sent a screenshot over to you guys that was a cop saying, "Oi, oi, what's all this then? Can't see a scrap with the copper." And I was just like, okay, this is the best game.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb. I like it.
Yeah, but occasionally you see somebody be like, "I watched it on the telly," or like they went all in on the translation and the localization.
So do they call anyone a boffin?
No.
I think it's a Pokemon.
That sounds like a Pokemon. It should be.
What are some other English terms?
I don't
know. Is anyone a pillock?
What?
No.
Our resident Brit is still on paternity leave, dealing with the family.
Are Brits the ones that like Vegemite, or is that Australians?
Marmite is Australian,
but I think they like it in the UK.
No. Well, the Vegemite and Marmite are very similar, and I can never remember which one goes to which country.
Yeah,
I think Vegemite's Australia and Marmite's UK.
Sure.
Question mark.
Send your corrections in to gaming@fyx.space.
Okay, we're gonna get Sam to like correct all of this.
Yeah.
He'll take a red marker to our podcast and give us a grade at the end.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, a lot of it is old man yells at cloud.
Sure.
Like I'm always looking back at like, man, in my day, the games were like this. And it's hard to not make those comparisons when.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of the stuff that we've talked about here, like the trading, the difficulty, that stuff, I think is all very valid, but I think no matter what, I'm always going to look back on those first three like generations and like Heart Gold Soul Silver as like the remakes much more fondly than I look on anything kind of modern.
Yeah, totally. Which is why I asked how it would be for a new person, because we I think as a collective unit here have been playing Pokemon games since like the late 90s. So
Yep.
Oh my god, like 21 years. Oh my god.
Yep. Pokemon Blue was one of the first games I ever played.
Yep.
I got a Game Boy Color and Pokemon Blue.
I got a Game Boy Color.
You got a blue and a color. I see.
Got Game Boy Color, got Pokemon Blue, and Super Mario Brothers Deluxe. Those are my two first games.
My first Game Boy Pocket game was, I think, like Adventure Island, which was like was kind of like Mario, but you were a caveman and you could ride a dinosaur and a skateboard.
Well, that sounds like Mario except for the skateboard.
Yeah. It was there was a skateboard. I never beat it. Anyway, that's Pokemon. It's a Pokemon game. Sam is working diligently to complete his Pokedex before he returns to work in a few days. He is almost there, like 3/4 of the way. It's a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah, he's moving really fast through it. I mean, granted, it's partially because he's off from work, and he's mentioned that it's a very good game for being awake with baby.
Yeah, easy to pick up and put down.
Yeah.
So if you need a game that's easy to pick up, put down, you have any Pokemon nostalgia, then Pokemon Sword Shield is pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I like the series so much, is that it feels very cozy to play, and picking up, putting down is always pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, moving on from Pokemon into something else much more. That's also not much more, but also cozy and nostalgic for many people. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Alex, have you played any of this yet?
Nope.
Okay, it's just me. I finished Jedi Fallen Order, and the more I played of it, like last week we talked about it quite a bit. The more I've played of it, I just have like fallen less and less in love with it. I think it's a fine game. I think maybe I had some story stuff like overblown, in my opinion, like some stuff people said. I don't know. I'm not super versed in Star Wars lore. Maybe if I knew more about stuff in that vein, it would be like a bigger deal to me. But like, I think Star Wars is a fun thing, and I go to the movies to see it.
Yeah, I think that if you're making a Star Wars thing, that's especially like a game that you want a wider audience to enjoy. It should be, it shouldn't be based off of how deep into Star Wars lore.
Oh yeah. And I don't think someone, I think it was Austin Walker on Waypoint, said like there's some stuff in the late game that is like kind of a big deal in terms of like Star Wars lore.
But now I need to play it even more.
To me, it did. Like I said, I'm not super well versed in that stuff. To me, it didn't seem like there was anything that was like that revolutionary. But maybe like I didn't read a lot of like the flavor text that they put on like the items that you find throughout the environment. A lot of it was like 2 sentences, and none of it felt very interesting. Some of it was longer, but again, I just wasn't grabbed by that writing. And like, in a year with like something like Control, where I wanted to read everything I found, that's a little disappointing. But yeah, the combat, we talked about it last time, is similar to Sekiro, which I played and beat this year as well. But it's just not as like, it doesn't do what Sekiro does super well, which is like actually it helps you understand when the attacks are coming, because it'll like have like a little flash, or like, and it kind of times up with the music too in a way. Somehow it's like a rhythm game. But here in Jedi, you're just trying to read their movements, but each enemy has like a few different attacks, and like sometimes they wind up for a really long time, like overhead, and you're like parry way too soon. And this can be alleviated by playing on, different, like a lower difficulty where your parry window is much larger. But it became very frustrating, especially towards the end when they're throwing like 5, 6, 7 enemies at you at once. And then some of those enemies don't get staggered when you like, they're just like, they can attack through your attacks, which doesn't feel great. Like, I feel like if I can hit them, then they should, like, you know, be knocked off balance a bit. But no such luck, especially against bosses. So that, like, the more I got deeper into the combat, it's like, this is just not great. You know, it's fine enough, but I think people are giving it. I think it's getting a lot of praise just because it's a Star Wars game.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a pretty decent Star Wars game.
It is maybe the best Star Wars game since KOTOR 2, maybe. I you know, depending on your thoughts on KOTOR and KOTOR 2.
But I think that's also not like, I don't know, like, there, especially recently, has been a very big dearth of Star Wars games. So I think that, like, myself included, any game that's Star Wars and is single player and is decent, I'm like, I need it now.
But there was Star Wars Connect and it had I'm Han Solo.
It's true. I said good. Best game, not best soundtrack.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not best dance mini game.
Yeah,
where you danced as Han Solo.
Didn't you also get to play as a Rancor and just like smash shit up?
Yep, you did get to do that. So yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. It's, you know, that's Securoidvania. I said it this time. That's, you know, it's very, like, I didn't feel the need to go back and explore areas that I didn't see, to find stuff I didn't find, or, you know, didn't find the first time through, because none of it matters. It's ponchos, and I basically, the first poncho I found, almost, or like a very early poncho I found, is one I used the entire game because I thought all the others looked bad. Lightsaber parts, you can barely see your lightsaber like 99% of the time, so like you can see the color, so if you want to, like, but you don't get to change the color until much later, or you have like 2 colors. If you have the premium edition, you have a 3rd color, and then much later in the game you get some more colors that you can use, and then like the rest of it you can customize, but you're never really gonna see it. So ship colors, which, like, when you walk up to your ship, you see it when you're, you know, getting on it. Okay. BD1, you get some skins for him. But you're like, the camera's pulled back far enough that, like, you can barely make out what those colors are on him. So it's just,
but BD1's a droid, though.
It's also
he's
not
good.
that...
You know, BD1 is maybe the best part of the game.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, those aesthetic things, that's not exactly new, though. Like, I remember in Jedi Academy, you could change the hilt of your lightsaber, which is something. It didn't affect how it played. It just looked slightly different, and you never saw it. So
it's just frustrating when, you know, these, you know, Metroidvania type stuff, you want to, like, you know, the idea of exploring everything and, what am I going to find over here? Once you realize everything that you're going to find is, like, it's a poncho, or like it's just some, like, skin, like, color changes. It's like, I don't feel the need to go look for that stuff. Like, you can find some stim packs, but they're not, like, super vital. Like, I finished the game with 4. You start with 2. And I only found 2 during my entire playthrough, which I was like, really? I only found 2. Okay. I don't know. I was hoping that game was going to, like, blow me away, but, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think people who really like Star Wars will have a good time with it. And, like, enjoy what they do, because I think there are some great like, Star Wars moments in that game. But I still think Grease should have been played by Danny DeVito.
I think everybody should be played by Danny DeVito.
Oh, man, that'd be
Cal should have been played by Danny DeVito.
Hell yes.
Okay, so last week I mentioned how Cal Kestis is just Archie Andrews. That is, like, the meme about this character. And then in Riverdale, the episode I watched, they said something, you know, this is going to happen while he flies off in his rocket. which is a real thing someone was going to do, was to fly in a rocket. I don't know where they were going. But yeah, so now if Riverdale ends in any other way, in a way other than Archie Andrews becoming a Jedi, it's all a wash. It's all for naught.
That's the only trajectory it can take at this point.
Give Archie Andrews a lightsaber.
Yep. A light wiffle bat.
Yeah.
How does the Unchartedness carry through to the end? Because like that was kind of the thing that was off-putting for me, because I really don't like Uncharted. But
I mean the tutorial level is very Uncharted. Pat plays it plays it down, but I think the combat tutorial area is 100% the train level from Uncharted 2. Yeah. Like 100%. Like it's much shorter, but it is exactly that. It is like you're climbing and stuff. I think it can be like, I was getting pretty annoyed by I like the Uncharted games, but I was like, this is not working as well as I want it to at times. I don't think it's as prevalent as it is in a lot of Uncharted stuff, and it's like a little more forgiving at times, and you're using your force powers to like kind of manipulate stuff in ways to like Uncharted your way up a wall, but it's more just like, okay, I'm on some vines that I'm climbing up, and not like, okay, I have to do a lot of jumping like from like ledge to ledge or whatever. So it's a little more streamlined than that, but it is a big part of the game.
Yeah. We'll see. I might try it on. I might like sign up for a month of Origin Access just to play it.
Yeah, on PC it's $15 to play it on Origin Access, and then you can just cancel that and you're good to go. And you get the premium edition, which has like the extra colors and whatnot.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you have an orange lightsaber.
I mean, people wanted the orange lightsaber.
I use the orange lightsaber. I'm a centrist, I guess. I don't know. I saw. I think they have a pretty good cast of characters. I think, but the game like wraps up like really abruptly, kind of. So, yeah.
Do you think it's because they're intending for a sequel?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
And I think they'll get it. I think this game is going to do really well. I think it's going to, with like Star Wars fans, I think it'll be successful. For me, it was like, hopefully they can iron out the issues with like, there's technical stuff wrong with the console versions, which I think has probably been largely resolved at this point. Maybe there have been a couple patches, but I would like to see them implement like, whether that's gear stuff on like the lightsaber parts, like, oh, this one gives you like plus 5% to your parry window, or this one gives you like plus 10% damage, or which is silly, but all that stuff is silly in games, so that would be nice to see.
Something that's neat, though, is it seems like it's been a hell of a year for Respawn, between this and Apex Legends both being good.
Mm-hmm.
So. And then they've also got, don't they have that Medal of Honor VR game coming out?
Is that them? I actually have no idea.
Think it is. Maybe not. I don't know. I think it is.
I will look it up really quickly here for you. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So Respawn making a lot of games. No Titanfall, which is disappointing. I love me some big robots, but I think
with all these talks about BTs this year, we're missing out on the best BT.
I know, right? But it happens. So I haven't played any BB's delivery service this week.
That's a great comparison.
Yep, I need someone to Photoshop Norman Reedus onto a broom and the cat replaced with the BB.
Yeah.
I will try to make I can make like a really, really shitty version of it. Like
that's even better.
Even better.
As like, shitty as it can be.
Okay, I might have to make that because I want to see that.
I had that phrase popped into my head. I use some Kiki's delivery service like stamps for stamping papers at my job. Oh, I saw it. Okay, one more time. Nice job. And I was like, Kiki's delivery service. BB's delivery service.
Then mind just.
Yeah. And then I ran to our chat room and went, I need to get this out of my head. So
what other Ghibli movies would make for good game crossovers? Like Dark Souls and Princess Mononoke or something.
Yeah, it would be like a Zelda and Princess Mononoke.
Sure, that could work.
Let's see. The Wind Rises and Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Perfect.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah. Anyways,
man, dude, Microsoft Flight Simulator with the sound effects of The Wind Rises, that would be legendary.
Yeah,
because like all those sound effects are just like a guy in front of a mic going. Oh
yeah, have you seen Nausicaa?
That too. Yeah. I feel like a lot of Ghibli stuff is just like Zelda and Ghibli thing. Well, okay, what would be a good tie-in with Spirited Away?
I was thinking about that. I'm not sure, but while you guys think about that, I sent this to our group chat, but Joe Hisaishi, the composer for the Ghibli music, is coming to Vancouver for a performance in January. And I was like, yes, this looks awesome. I want to get in on it. But tickets are $250 each at least.
What?
Like,
God, that's a lot.
Like, even for like the worst seats, it's $250. For a good seat, it's at least $300. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I want to, but that is not justifiable.
That is a lot. So for Spirited Away, my first instinct is like a Diner Dash like sim where you're running the bathhouse.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And you're like, you got to put people with a bath and with like the right bath stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cook, serve, delicious.
Yeah.
In Spirited Away.
With baths.
Ponyo is totally Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Or also Cooking Mama because you make ramen.
Okay, Totoro is
I mean, that's also kind of Pokemon. It's like just a big
Animal
Snorlax.
Crossing?
Yeah, or Animal Crossing.
Yeah, we'll come back to this maybe. If you have ideas for Pokemon, or not Pokemon, for video game and Ghibli crossovers, please send them to gaming@fyx.com and we'll read them on the air.
Space.
Unless they're bad.
Gaming@fyx.space.
If they're really bad, maybe we'll still read them. Gaming@fyx.space. So that's what I've played this week. Is I finished Jedi and I've played Pokemon. Alex or Allison, have you played anything else? Right, it's just Pokemon.
So this week I finally,
Oh, I went to Alex, but I was like, wait, Allison, did you play anything?
No, go for
it. Yeah. So this week I basically long awaited got a new phone because
congratulations.
My old phone was honestly garbage. Its battery, like if I didn't bring a charger with me, it would not last past like 1 p.m. It was bad.
My phone is like 6 months old and I still have a charger everywhere I go.
Yeah. So I decided to make the switch from Android over to iPhone, which I've never done before. And I for quite a few reasons, but I was looking at games on the App Store and decided, hey, I want to play a Professor Layton like game where you do puzzles, because I do crossword puzzles on my phone a lot. And sure enough, they actually have the first 2 Professor Layton games ported to iOS. So I've been playing on the bus Professor Layton and the Curious Village for the like 50th time. And awesome. That game's really good. And the port runs really great on iOS. It's a premium app, so it's like $10, but the game is still great, and it has all the video and everything, and all of the features, so it's just really good.
The original is a DS game, right?
Yep.
So does it have like a split? Does it have kind of a top screen, bottom screen thing going on?
Yep. So cool. Like the top half of it works remarkably well on your phone, where like the top half is like the top screen and the bottom half is the bottom screen, but it feels very natural. Like it doesn't it feels like there's nothing missing from moving it from like a handheld console to a phone. So I've been genuinely really impressed with this. And once I finish it, I will definitely be picking up the second one and considering retrying some of the mobile original Layton games, because I do love that series, and I'm not entirely sure how or if they'll move it over to Switch. Well, they did just do the port, but of one of the mobile /3DS games, but it's a good series, and it's near and dear to my heart because I've been playing it for quite a while.
Nice.
Yep. Awesome. Although some of the puzzles, like I like doing all the different puzzles, but there's one puzzle I realized is just geometry. It's just straight up math, and I'm like,
no.
Okay, this is interesting. I forgot that I had to do straight up math in here, but
I refuse. All right. Well, Alex, how about you? What have you played this week?
Dude, it's been so busy with work. I have played a grand total of, let's say, like 3 hours of games this week. And
that's 3 hours.
It's not nothing.
It's true. But most of that time was spent jumping back into Steins Gate Elite, kind of going through and doing some of the more obscure routes and like kind of getting some of the side stuff. And
okay, I thought you had already exhausted everything in that game at this point.
No, I played a lot of it, but I didn't like get to the crazy like other paths that like don't necessarily contribute to like the true ending. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like kind of like filling out the lore basically. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's been nice. Because I do a lot of reading at night, so this is just kind of taking place of my current book. Mm-hmm. And that game is still really excellent. I think if y'all are going to play one visual novel, because we talk about visual novels a lot on this podcast, that's the one. Especially, I would especially
I burned it on Al Borland, so
it's true. You did. I liked AI a lot too, but I think I would like to get the opinion of someone who's never seen the show, because a lot of it does map 1-to-1, and it's just the show moves through it quicker. This gives a lot more detail. So I'd be curious about how someone experiencing it for the very first time and has no idea what the twists and turns are.
Yeah, I'll probably have to play it sooner or later, because I feel like that's something that would interest me. But
have you not seen the show?
No.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on like the way that story goes. Anyways, that's about it. I'm not sure. Hopefully after this cast, I'm going to be playing a bunch of games, because this weekend is pretty free. I mean, we can talk all about Kubernetes and Helm charts and like doing some advanced mathematics with drill queries and stuff like that. But
drill, we're gonna face God and walk backwards into hell.
Exactly. That's basically what it's like working with Apache Drill. So,
and I think that's what it's like when you're waiting for a new Half-Life game and Valve announces it's a VR only title.
God.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we're moving on to the news segment. That
was the worst transition you've ever had, and I loved it.
Oh,
it was bad, but I'm also going, oh my God, because I'm as a Half-Life fan, I can't.
I think there are many people who would rather face God and walk backwards into hell than play a VR Half-Life game.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
who would be there? So the problem is, we'll get into what Half-Life Alyx is in a moment. The problem is that it has been so long since there's been a Half-Life game. There's more than 10 years.
Last one was 2007. That was episode 2.
Yeah.
People have been just like begging for Valve to do Half-Life 3. There, like, I think the last like big like Half-Life 3 moment was probably the announcement of what's the card game they did? The announcement of the Dota card game.
Oh, Artifact.
It's the Artifact announcement, because they were like announcing a new game and everyone's like, oh shit, this is it. This is gonna be it. And
it's
then it's
the
a
one,
card game.
and then it's a card game.
That was when everyone's like, it's never happening. And so I feel like after Artifact was announced, things kind of died down. But then earlier this week, some stuff started to leak out, like, oh, there's gonna be a Half-Life announcement. No, I was like, yeah, right. I'll believe it when I see it. And then sure enough, they got, oh yeah, no, we got a Half-Life game coming out. It's gonna be VR, and we'll put out a trailer on like Thursday. And they sure put out a trailer.
Yep, the way it leaked out was real funny. It seemed like it was definitely not intended.
Yeah, it seemed like this was like maybe a couple weeks, month or so early.
Yeah,
maybe like a Game Awards type, like
maybe, reveal. Or maybe that's what it kind of sounds like. But they're just like, you know what, we're gonna roll with it, and there's probably gonna still be some like information, because all that's really come out is like some basic, like there's the trailer, and then like how you interact with the game in like the most basic ways. And like we don't even know when it takes place. Presumably it takes place
between 1 and 2.
It's between 1 and 2.
Okay, have they actually confirmed that?
Yeah.
I assume
think so.
Based on the things that are in that trailer.
Yeah, they talked about it in that the 20-minute Jeff Keighley thing that came out.
Okay, I didn't know that came out.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So in this, you're playing as Alex Vance, fan favorite, and it's first-person VR game. You're shooting stuff. It's it looks like a VR game, but it's supposedly like a full-length, like supposedly Half-Life 2-ish long game, all in VR. If you own a Valve Index, the $1,000 VR headset, you get it for free.
Great.
If you just own the Index controllers, which you can, if you have like a Valve, if you have the HTC Vive, you can get the Index controllers, which have like the super good like hand tracking stuff on them. You also get the game for free, but it's
Half-Life 2 was what, 12 hours long?
Maybe I don't remember. It's been like
1 week since you looked at me.
That too, but
gotta get in tune with Sailor Moon. But yeah, no, I mean it's been more than a decade since I've played Half-Life 2, so I don't know.
I played it more recently, but I don't know.
According to how
I
long
don't remember.
How long to beat.com says main story is 13 hours, main plus extra is 15 and a half. So
yeah, it's I don't know, because I really love Half-Life 2. It's easily one of my top 5 games of all time. Alex Vance is one of my favorite video game characters, but I can't really justify upgrading my PC to be VR ready and then buying a PC VR headset for a single game. And
I bet this comes to PlayStation VR on the PS5. Whatever the upgraded like VR headset is, I bet it comes to that, because like maybe I guess not, but like they need to get like, if they want to like get people to play it, that's their best way to get hands on that game.
Also, I like Half-Life 2 and like the Orange Box got ported to all sorts of like that was a big Xbox 360 seller. So
I think the biggest surprise for me was how good it looked, because like VR games have kind of like, they're pushing computers in like different ways than your standard like AAA games or whatever. Like, they're having to render twice as much stuff basically, so lower resolutions and whatnot, but it looked real nice.
Yeah, and the trailer really played up, I guess it's nostalgia at this point. Like it played a bunch of like the sound effects you would expect, like the Combine, like when the Combine dies, it has that beep, like they had that.
It's City 17, so it's gonna do the same sounds.
Yeah, but also showing stuff like the head crab and head crab zombies and
and then the very ending was very stupid.
Yep. Yeah, but I was still like, oh, like you know what's coming, but at the same time you're like, oh.
It's weird how exactly the same the model looks for G-Man in that moment.
It did though. Like it didn't look like, oh
what if it's
wow,
the same model,
upgraded model.
Game Freak lied. The G-Man has been the same model for 20 something years.
Yeah. Since Half-Life 1. Yep.
Yeah, it's same model, just new textures.
just like the Warthog and the new Tesla Cybertruck.
It's the same amount of polygons, same amount of triangles. Man, we can't. I didn't even realize until earlier today that it said Cybertruck in the background.
No, that's actually.
I'd only seen close-ups. We can't talk about the Cybertruck. We just can't.
It looks like Lara Croft's boobs.
It looks like a lot of things. Yeah. Cybertruck. Some other news. Don't Nod also at XO19. Don't Nod, creators of Life is Strange, Life is Strange 2, Vampire. All games I've enjoyed. Have announced their next project called Tell Me Why, which features a trans main character. It's about twins, I believe, and I don't know if they're identical twins, but I think one is like a sister and her brother. Yes. The brother is a trans man, right? Is this correct?
Yep, that's all correct so far.
Okay. And they've said that they are aware that if you are familiar with Life is Strange and the rollout of those games, they have been very far between releases. Like the first episode of Life is Strange 2 came out last year, and we're still like over a week away from the release of the final episode of that season.
Yeah,
that game. So I want to get back to that, but they have like acknowledged that, and like it's going to be like over the summer. It's going to be like June, July, August. It's going to be 3 episodes done, and so they're getting out there like giving some information about it.
I thought they'd said that they all launch at the same time.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, maybe I misinterpreted.
Maybe I think it's going to be set up so they come out. They're like going to be basically all ready, but they're going to come out episodically. I think I could be wrong. But so one of the things that people are asking them questions about, like, the game and whatnot. And people ask like, do you have any like trans people, trans creators on this project? Are they, writing or programming or just working at the studio? And they said, no, but we've been collaborating with someone. Glad. There's a specific person who has been consulting and helping them write stuff. And some people have been criticizing them for not working with trans creators, like directly hired with them.
I think
Alex, you know more about this than I do.
I think your language choice is a bit gentle. People have been kind of attacking them.
I haven't seen any of this personally.
People have been pretty aggressive on Twitter, basically saying
any of it, so.
Like, how can I possibly support this game? You guys don't even have a trans person on staff. Like you can't possibly understand like what it's like to go through being trans and stuff like that. And like, hey, totally valid. I think if that is something that you prioritize, that's something you should care about. But I think the thing that really rubs me the wrong way about it is saying you need a trans person on staff in order for this to be right. Because
I kind of would argue that. Well, because it sounds, I don't know too much about this game so far, except for the fact that they've been really prioritizing the fact that this character is trans, and they're talking a lot about like that this is about a trans narrative. And I don't think that, like, I think that you do really need to have people who are writing it to have some level of experience in being trans.
Right. And I agree with that. And like, I've played The Missing. That is a story that's very much about being trans, and Swery is not trans, but he spent a lot of time consulting one-on-one with people from the LGBTQ community, not just trans people, and like also Glad. And like, I think that story like came across extremely nuanced and very like it was not a gentle story, but it touched on things in a really great way. And every person I've talked with who is trans or generally part of the LGBTQ community has really appreciated it for that story. So I think saying that someone needs to be on staff at Don't Nod and like that is their like line in the sand, like they are obsessing over this on Twitter, like they're saying like, oh, we can't support you if you don't do this, like that comes across as a little bit shitty to me. Like, what if they hire someone and that person is an anti-vaxxer and a Nazi, but they happen to be trans? Like, do you still support that? You know,
well,
like,
I mean,
like it takes all shapes, Alex. Come on. No,
yeah.
But I feel like I don't know. I feel like it seems like from what I know about like if this is going to be somewhere in the same vein as like A Life is Strange, like a lot of the trans narrative in The Missing was very like metaphorical, and it was very like it was there, but it wasn't like necessarily a lot of it like a constant. I mean, it was, but it wasn't really. I don't know. I feel like there's a big difference between like having kind of a metaphor for a trans experience versus, hey, we're going to have a character that's very, very explicitly trans, and it's going to be very explicitly about them being trans. And
yeah, that's fair. But like, for another example, if we picked anyone on our podcast, let's say Pat or Andre or yourself, Erica, Sam, it doesn't matter. If one of us wanted to write a story, be a game or novel or whatever, that was centered around a trans person, I would not discount whoever that is from writing that story, because I personally would trust that any of those people would take the time to properly research and vet it by people who would know and like be sensitive to a lot of those topics. Like, I think it's worth affording those same kind of things to Don't Nod, because in the past they've shown that they can be sensitive with like tough topics. So yeah.
To me, I think it's the thing where this gets sticky is they're out there like touting, oh yeah, our next game is all about like a trans character, and that's the focus of our next project. And then to go, oh no, we don't have any trans people on staff. And I don't think they want to be out there going, oh yeah, our big next thing is about a trans character. I think that's like a marketing push where they're like, I guess we got to go along with this. And like, right. I think if that was not part of the equation, I don't think we'd be seeing this.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I think eventually someone would ask that question. But by putting that, like, that would be like, once the game is out and we can see, like, I could see them keeping that kind of close to the chest, or not like directly pushing that out themselves, to go, oh yeah, no, it's, we haven't seen the game, but like the hope would be, oh, you find out while you're playing, oh, this is a trans character. I wasn't expecting that. But instead now it's as this marketing push where people are going to scrutinize it before it's even out, going, okay, how are you writing this? Who is involved? Are there any trans folks? And if there aren't, then people are going to go, oh, well, I can't support this because XYZ, even though sight unseen.
Right.
Yeah. And also I just think that there's like a big difference between someone writing like a novel from their own perspective versus a game studio that isn't just from one person, I guess. Like I feel like there's also just an issue of like LGBTQ people need to get paid and get hired.
Yeah, and there is no shortage of trans folks who are looking for work in the game industry. I'm sure there are many who work in the game industry. I'm sure there are many more who would like to work in the game industry. And like, if they could have tried, like, even if it was like contract work or like, temporary, it would have, of course it's always nice to get more people, more voices in the industry. But the reaction that I have not seen this reaction that Alex is talking about. But if people are it sounds like some people are overreacting to things they haven't seen yet and don't know much about at all yet. But hey, give marginalized voices more spaces to be heard.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
On that topic, just quick, Munveer Hare, from who has worked on games like Mass Effect Andromeda and that poor soul, and Rashad something. I can't remember his last name. I was just listening to the Waypoint podcast from this Friday where Austin Walker interviewed those two.
Yep.
Have started a studio called Brass Lion Entertainment, which is going to focus on uplifting brown and black voices in the community.
Cool.
And their first game is called Corner Wolves, which is a real good name. And it's about like a mixed race Afro-Latina woman. And it's like a mystery RPG set in New York in the 90s. So that sounds kind of cool. But it's in like early pre-production, so they don't know, like, who knows when it's going to come out. But hey, there's some more marginalized voices you can keep track of if you're into that. That's a real good podcast. Everyone should be. That's maybe a weird way to say it, but
yeah, I was gonna say
if you're looking for that kind of thing, if you're looking for like those kinds of voices, not everyone is like actively seeking that stuff out. If you're looking for those kinds of voices, Munveer Air is very outspoken, very interesting,
and very well spoken.
Yes. Outspoken and well spoken. And that podcast, the Waypoint podcast, is very fun and interesting. Yeah. And his episode from like 2 years ago, where he talks about working on Mass Effect and like other game industry stuff, is really fascinating as well. So I would say that's like super recommended listening for anyone interested in the industry.
Yeah.
So
his Twitter account is great.
Yes, quite. All right. On our news, we have two things left.
With big question marks. It's like, should we talk about this?
Well, I mean, we can mention them, but we don't need to like maybe.
Well, yeah.
Give them
so one, I'll say the one I'm excited about. Resident Evil 3 is rumored to be in development and also rumored to be shipping next year.
Yep. That'd be good.
I would say we could expect that game in approximately 2 months, and we will hear about it next month at the Game Awards. Actually, we've got 3 things we need to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll talk about the Game Awards after. Yeah, so I am excited for Resident Evil 3. I am. Resident Evil 2 is phenomenal. If Resident Evil 3 is done in the style of Resident Evil 2, with that love and care and reverence for the source material, but brings it into a modern way and isn't afraid to like mix things up and alter it, I think that could be really good.
The thing is, though, for me, like, I really liked Resident Evil 3 when it came out, especially because like Nemesis is the core mechanic, but Resident Evil 2 Remake kind of had that with Mr. X.
Yeah, so I think they need to. I think Nemesis is a little more terrifying than Mr. X, because he actually he's got a rocket launcher, and he shows up in more spaces, and the space of Resident Evil 3 is much larger than it is in Resident Evil 2. So if they're actually like build out the city in a more interesting way, and you're just like running around the city and then suddenly Nemesis shows up, I think that would be a decent enough twist on that. But yeah, I think they do have to do a little more than just he stomps around after you, but instead of being silent, he says stars. If that's the only change, then like, oh man, come on.
I just realized why I liked Resident Evil Nemesis so much, or Resident Evil 3, is because I love Ski Free. The thing's basically the Yeti, the way it just like rushes at you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Citizen Kane of Games, Resident Evil 3.
Fuck. Ski Free was the first survival horror game.
Yeah, this is true. On that note, speaking of survival horror, how long can Stadia survive the horror of being a product that people could theoretically subscribe to? Boy, this Stadia does not sound like it is living up to the standards that Google kind of set forth when they pitched it.
I don't think I would agree. I think it's living up to the technological standards. Like, it sounds like, I mean, yes, you're running into the issues where, like, they were saying it's going to be 4K and it'll be like top tier, like very high fidelity stuff, and like it's coming across that it's like PC medium quality. Like, that's like, not up for debate, but like the technology works. Like
but we've known I've known the technology works for a year at this point.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Like, as a developer, to me, that's like the back end developer in me is like, that's fucking so cool. I want to inspect that and like be like, what's going on?
They're also not the first people to do that.
You're right.
Like like NVIDIA GeForce stuff. Like
you're totally right. But like, I think it is living up to what Google set up that way. But as a service, it sounds awful.
Yeah. So the thing that Google pitched, like you can play games. You absolutely can play games
on your phone, provided it's a Pixel.
Yeah, the quality at which you're playing those games is, in some cases, probably worse than the consoles you have. Not always. Yeah. Maybe you can get better frame rate. Like, you can play Destiny at 60 instead of like 30, but then you've got latency to deal with, and
a smaller player base.
Much smaller player base. So like, and sounds like and depends on the console you got. Like, if you've got a Xbox One X or like a PS4 Pro, like Red Dead 2 looks worse on Stadia, and like not just because of like video compression, but just like what are the things? The settings. The settings it runs at are just like lower than what it runs on the consoles. Yeah. On the like the high end versions, like it's going to look better than a base Xbox or PS4, but like I don't know who doesn't own a console, who doesn't own an Xbox or PS4, no matter the kind, and doesn't own like Red Dead already, and is like, oh yeah, I need Stadia so I can play Red Dead. Maybe if you want it for your commute, but that doesn't seem like a great way to play that game or something.
Yeah, that I think that's the thing that was the most, frustrating is just the game library at launch is not great. So
no, it isn't.
They were gonna have Doom, but then Doom got delayed, and that I don't think that would be a way to play Doom. That was like based on some of the stuff I've seen. But
yeah, there's only one exclusive, and from what I've heard, it's like okay, but not great. And a lot of games that like the recent Tomb Raider games, like people have played those, and it's not exciting.
So Stadia, it works, but
it's not really worth it.
Why does it work?
Yeah, the argument I've heard thrown out that would make some amount of sense to me is like, if someone who's not necessarily a gamer or like does not own a console buys a TV and basically Stadia is built into it, and they're like, oh, I can just play whatever Doom as it came out, and like I don't have to have a console. I can just pay my $60 here and play it on my TV. Cool. I can see that. I can see that.
There is a market for that. There, for the FIFA, the Madden, the NBA, Call of Duty people or whatever. Who aren't playing a ton of games and just like, oh yeah, I pick one game and I play it for. And maybe Call of Duty is a bad example because who knows what that connection stuff is going to be like. But that is a game a lot of people like, that is their one game. So like the one game households or players, like this could be an option for them. But even then, like I feel like going with something like Xbox is a much better deal because you're gonna have a larger player base. Like Project xCloud stuff, you're gonna have a larger player base to work with until like crossplay gets implemented between Stadia, PC, and consoles.
Yeah,
and I think so. Stadia just kind of complicates that whole matter. Yeah, and then like I saw some images of like Mortal Kombat X or Mortal Kombat 11 matchmaking, which is Stadia against Stadia. So you'd figure the connection between the two people should be fine, right? Should be like 3 stars all the time. 2-star connection between the two players or two like bar.
That's so weird.
Maybe they're working off different data centers.
Yeah, that's the only thing that would make sense to me, because it should be, it should be internal. It should be internal Google network at that point.
Yeah. But maybe the data centers are across the country or something, but then you've got latency from your setup at home to the Google Center. The other people have latency from their setup to the, Google Center. And then the Google stuff to the Google stuff has latency too.
Yeah. If you're like, if you're in New York City and the other player is in Jakarta.
It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's not live in Jakarta, so no problem.
True.
And then all the technical stuff with just like people not getting their codes, but getting their boxes, like controller and Chromecast, but no codes, so they can't even use it.
Did you watch the video from Gamers Nexus?
No, I did not.
Oh my God. He talked about the process there, and it sounded like an absolute nightmare. That you basically, I'll try and sum it up, where he was saying they did not get it in advance because they didn't want to. So they bought it with their own money to get the consumer experience. And so they got their launch day Stadia. So it did not come with a Pixel like the reviewers' copies did. So they went to activate it, and you need to activate it with an app on your phone, which only works on Android. So someone had like an old Galaxy S3 or S4 or something, or S5, I don't remember. Wouldn't install. Someone had like a little bit more recent Android phone, wouldn't install. And another person on the happened to have like a Pixel 2, and it would install. And that's just the activation app. And then from there, like, okay, you have to use a Gmail account. They're like, okay, we're going to use our Gamer Nexus like G Suite account.
G Suite, yeah.
Doesn't work. You have to have a generic Gmail account.
I've heard some not great things about G Suite recently, unrelated to Stadia, I think. Maybe related to Stadia, I don't know. G Suite sounds bad.
So far, just to get started with Stadia, they needed a Google phone, they needed a Gmail account, and then it just got worse from there. Like the activation still had like processes involved, and like they had to use Google Chrome on their computer to do some other stuff. It's like you're already going across like 3 or 4 different Google products just to get this Stadia going. Like it's ridiculous.
No, and you have to set up your Chromecast, which the only Chromecasts that work are the ones that come with the Founders Edition. It's like, because they can't send out they haven't updated the Chromecasts. The Chromecast yet.
The firmware for Ultra has not gone live yet. And blah blah blah.
It's like, okay, Google. You're real big. You have the means to make all this like happen and like be nice and easy, but they just choose not to. Like they don't. That's not where they put their time and effort.
There's some real questionable stuff going on there.
Google replace don't be evil with be a little lazy. Like, a lot of work went into like planning all of this. I don't mean to just, talk shit about the developers and whatnot. I believe people worked very hard on this.
Yeah.
And it seems like they just aren't in touch with real people or something with like that whole setup process.
100%. And like, again, like putting on my programmer hat, like the technology behind it is super fascinating. And those developers are obviously geniuses. Like the stuff they did is like, it's elevating things in a really fascinating way. But the service is just what lets it down. It's the end user experience. Like it's all that kind of stuff. It's
I was playing Deus Ex Human Revolution way back in like 2000 something on Live. It's not new. Sam pre-ordered Stadia and then he canceled his pre-order. I think they had some payment issues, and he's like, you know what, I don't need it. So he dodged a bullet on that one.
He did, because otherwise you can't cancel, from what I heard.
he was able, some people were able to cancel before, but then maybe they like disabled the cancel pre-order bit or something. I'm not sure, because he like had to change his like card, because like his card changed, and he was able to cancel, and like, but he had to reorder, but because he couldn't change his card information in the order thing.
Yeah, regardless, wait for xCloud. It seems better.
And that comes bundled with you can use Game Pass with it. So
yeah, like it just seems better, and it sounds like it might come to Switch, which is,
and you might actually, is that a thing?
It's like that. They kind of alluded to it in the conference they had last week.
I don't know, like, because I know they've done some streaming stuff before, like Resident Evil 7 and I think Assassin's Creed. They've done like streaming stuff on the Switch.
Oh, on Switch. Okay.
Yeah, on Switch. Right. But like, I didn't hear about Assassin's Creed, but I remember Resident Evil was only streaming in Japan. But some people in America tried it. Like, so they were streaming from Japanese data centers, and it was just not working out for them.
Yeah. Anyways, streaming's the future.
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
It's just speaking of wait for it.
Yeah. Speaking of the future, I don't think it's not, Stadia is not the future, but streaming is, I think. But speaking of the future, in about 5 weeks now, we're going to be doing our Game of the Year. But in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when do the Game Awards happen? The Game Awards are happening.
Yep.
And
December 12th.
As always, the Game Awards are 3 weeks, I guess. As always, the Game Awards, highly controversial.
Are they always?
There's always something.
I mean, I feel like there's always something that like people dispute, but I don't know if anybody actually has any high.
No one's ever happy. No, absolutely not. No one's ever happy about the Game Awards. I don't think the people who win, I think, are happy. I think, it's a great moment for the people involved.
The people who are using it to market their new games are happy.
Yes. Those people are also very happy.
What was his name? The dude, what did Brothers?
Joseph Fares?
Yeah. Fares, I think that's right. He's happy.
Yeah. So this year has a little bit a different spin on the drama than usual.
Yeah.
Because of one Death Stranding. That is Jeff Keighley is the kind of the host, producer that runs the Game Awards. Like it's his show, often called the Keighley's. Much like the Oscars, but it's the Keighley's.
Super brief history on that. If listener to the podcast wasn't aware, it used to be on Spike TV, and he was the host, but he also set it up. But it left Spike TV, but he continued it on his own time, his own dime, etc.
So that was like the Video Game Awards, then it became the VGAs, and now it's the Game
whatever
Awards.
It is, the Game Awards now. And this probably happened in like 2013, 2014-ish.
Yeah, man. And then there was the Joe McHale really bad year, and then they introduced No Man's Sky, and
it has a history.
Yeah. But so people are very upset because Death Stranding has been nominated for many categories, Game of the Year included. And Jeff Keighley appears in that game as a character. He does not voice act. It is just his like face was scanned and put in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And people believe that is like inappropriate. He like the Keighley rigged it, and he has a very public bromance, or he very publicly fawns over Kojima.
Because there was what was it, like 2014 or something, that Metal Gear 5 2015, whatever, Metal Gear 5 came out, and Kojima won for whatever I think it was Game of the Year or something, wasn't it? But regardless,
he couldn't be there.
And Jeff Keighley basically like shit on Konami about it very publicly.
He very much was like, Konami didn't let him be here. This is Konami's fault.
And then he was like, but Kojima is a visionary. Like, don't disrespect Kojima. Blah, blah, blah.
And then they gave him like the Lifetime Achievement Award the next year or whatever. And like,
He's just very publicly been very close with Kojima.
Yeah. And so I think it does look a little weird, especially when I believe they say like a little bit about the process on the site, which is that people from all the major publications, like the game publications in the States, probably UK as well, because it's supposed to be like a whole industry thing. So
it's across multiple countries.
Send in nominations for games they think deserve to be considered for each of the categories, and then the public can vote on those, and then the people involved in those publications also vote. So it's like a weighted thing between like industry and community votes. Keeley does not vote, so he can't. I mean, I guess he theoretically could rig the votes, but I doubt he's doing that.
It's just kind of more of a, is there undue influence from Keeley being close to Kojima and being like the public face and like driving force behind the Game Awards?
Yes. Some stuff gets weird with like when games are allowed in because of when the Game Awards happen and because of the nature and size of the awards. Like things have to get in, a month in advance. We're just under a month away, but the games need to be nominated so they can, produce all the nice web pages for them and get all that stuff going. So games like with Star Wars, which many people are very hot on and would have assuredly got some nominations had EA got it into industry media hands before the deadline, but they did not because story spoilers. So they didn't. It's not up there. People think that's weird. It's not nominated.
On top of that, it likely will not be nominated next year.
It's not eligible for next year.
It's only eligible for this year. So
there's like a 2-week window where no game is eligible. While Smash, which came out in December last year, is eligible. For it is considered in the game of the year, but
not eligible. It's just that it's like this is the worst 2 weeks to release it because you're like.
No, I think it's literally there are 2 weeks where you are not eligible.
I think that's I was reading a lot of what people are saying about it online, and it looked like people like 2 weeks are like where they're eligible, but it's like maybe. I don't know. Like it was eligible for this year, but
no one had played enough, because EA did not give it to people, and that if EA doesn't, that's EA's business.
But it's still weird, and I think a lot of it is like I mean the justification for a lot of it is that they want the Game Awards to be basically commercials before Christmas comes out. So there's an element of they can't like put it. They don't want to make it in like January or February. But I do think that's a detriment to not give have a cutoff and then have say like a month for people to play games and then have nominations.
Yeah, I think that's also the biggest problem with the Game Awards is that they want to be this. They want to be an award show to recognize the best in games or whatever, but it's a big commercial, big marketing event.
Most studios treat it as their winter E3 as a way to kind of get announced games and like do a bunch of marketing and promotion.
Like you don't watch the Oscars and go, oh, what trailers am I going to see? That's not.
And I mean, there certainly is some of that, but it's much like more subdued. It's not like, oh yeah, we're going to announce a ton of movies at this year's Oscars. It's still very much a promotional event, and it's still like, especially for movies that get nominated for Oscars, like that can be huge and make a movie's box office, especially for a smaller indie movie that didn't have a huge budget and you get nominated for Best Picture.
There is that will certainly something to that. But when you look at the games that are nominated for, let's say, Game of the Year, in this case, we have Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, The Outer Worlds. not really any like tiny indie games that are gonna like greatly benefit from,
right.
The game of the year bump.
It's definitely more of a advertising event than like the Oscars are.
And again, this is based on like a bunch of different people from different outlets, putting their thoughts on, this is what should be considered for, this category.
Right.
No one's ever going to agree on what this stuff should actually be. But that's why it's always frustrating to people. The Oscars, everyone's always frustrated with those. But it's just the Game Awards feel so nakedly like they're pushing a marketing agenda that's why it's just like they feel gross to me.
Yeah. I saw someone, I forget who it was, but they were
I still like to watch them and like, but I don't watch them for the awards. I watch like, okay, what are the announcements, because I want to see the announcements.
Yeah, y'all excited for the award? Fresh indie game presented by Subway.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. I saw someone on Twitter, I don't remember who, talking about like, our game is nominated. Oh wait, it's presented by Subway. This is weird.
Fresh indie game presented by Subway. There's no Oscar award that's like presented by Toyota.
No. You know what my favorite thing is? The composer for Outer Wilds, his tweet was, I got fired from Subway for making sandwiches too slow. Please vote for my game so they can finally be proud of me.
That's fantastic.
That was very funny.
So yeah, and like it's I don't know. The games that get put up in like the different categories are always interesting. Like categories like best family game is just, it's 5 Nintendo games.
Yeah, it's all Nintendo. Which like you like to a certain extent you get, but at the same time it's like, it's kind of like the best Nintendo category.
And then like categories like best esports team is also weird to me, because like I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like people tend to stick with like one esport mostly. Like some people watch like a few different things, but like I feel like you're either watching League or you're watching Dota, and then you're probably not watching like Overwatch if you're watching one of those. And then like CSGO, I don't even know anyone who pays attention to CSGO, but there are 2 CSGO teams in the running for best esports team. So yeah, like that's always like a weird category. And you're probably just going to vote for the one, but
there's a lot of weirdness to the Game Awards. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess.
It is what it is. It always is what it is. The thing, I think last year they like announced a bunch of awards. They're just like, and winning this award is this person, this, and this, and this, and then now on to this trailer for a new game. It's like not people have a moment on the stage.
I remember with Swery was like, I just wanted my game to be like mentioned on the stage. Like and then they didn't. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, they just announced winners. They didn't go through the category. And in some cases they did it in the pre-show.
Yeah. So the Oscars also has that problem too, because they're like, we want to make the show shorter or whatever. But like if you want to be the game, like the award show to celebrate games, you should celebrate games, and you should not be just like, you should celebrate the games of the year like you say you're trying to do, instead of just being a big marketing. And they need that marketing money to run the show. So I don't know what the solution is other than making it like 5 hours long or whatever. They could do it in like 3.
I think that it's tough, because it's like, I feel like there's just 2 things that they have that they want the show to be, is that they want the show to be a big marketing thing. And that's what most of the game companies want it to be. But then also the people who are behind the Game Awards want it to be the premiere, like the Oscars for games. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's any way that you can make both of those like converse without it being like having this disconnect.
Yeah. It's that. Well, that's why you should listen to Gaming Fyx's Game of the Year podcast on January 4th, 2020, where we will consider all games from 2020 as is correct. From we'll be correct. We will be deciding the game of 2020 on January 4th, 2020. We'll be considering all 2019 games and some from December 2018 because we did not consider them last year. But for now, so that'll be the best and definitive Game of the Year podcast.
God, I'm not ready.
I'm nowhere near ready. But at least we're not doing it like next week.
Oh my God, I'm so happy about that.
It would be 2 weeks from now, please.
You're right.
Right? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
That is going to do it for episode 97 of Gaming Fyx on this November 23rd, 2019. I've been your host, Andre Cole. You can find me on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W. You can find my review of Link's Awakening at fix.space, and I'll probably write up a Star Wars review this weekend or this week, get that going. Maybe someone will write up some Pokemon Thoughts review this week as well. Maybe we can get Sam to do that. I don't know. He's busy. He's got to go back to work. Maybe I'll do it. Who knows?
He has a child.
Yeah. Well, maybe the baby can write it. Little Todd Howard. But Alex, where can people find you?
Just trolling through Stack Overflow trying to fix Kubernetes.
Okay. And Allison?
You can find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY.
Okay. That's going to do it. Once again, you can send any feedback, your ideas for video game Ghibli crossovers to...
I want to know what Howl's Moving Castle would be best with, so...
It's Blank's Moving Blank.
It's Factorio. I don't know. Gaming at fix.space for all your email needs. Any emails, just BCC us on those. Sensitive documents, safe with us.
Subway promotional
deals? We'll read them out on the air, but they'll be safe.
Got any sick coupons? Oh, please. Your secrets safe with us. That's what we can promise you here on Gaming Fyx. Thanks for joining us. So we'll be back next week with another podcast. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.
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 Okay, what are we doing?